What up, TCG Metaslayer here, and I'm going to talk about my final review on One Piece as it is now in 2023, since it got released December 2nd in the United States, the Romance Dawn set, and I've gotten hundreds of games under my belt, been obviously paying attention to what people are playing in Asia, the tournament scene and the meta scene in North America, and as someone who always plays a combination of competitively and casually, I'm going to give you guys my initial thoughts and reviews here. So first of all, I want to say the game is fantastic. I enjoyed it a lot. One Piece is probably my #1 favorite anime. Unlike a lot of people maybe who are new to the game, I've been reading the manga and watching the anime since the early 2000s, basically since it started to become available for English translation. And I'm pretty much caught up. I'm all up in the Wano arc right now. Of course, they're going up against Kaido and the Animal Pirates, so I'm excited to see how that arc is going to finish off and where it'll take us after that. So I'm not going to talk about the anime, though. I have a lot of ideas and theories and questions about the story there, but again, I'm going to focus on the TCG. So what I want to say is that first of all, I'm going to focus on the American release of the physical cards. I'm not going to be doing anything like third party that's like digital and not approved by Bandai. And although I take a look at and keep current with the previews of cards being released in Japan and Asia, again, I'm going to focus on the cards I can play with in hand. So again, currently that is Romance Dawn. And what I want to say about One Piece, though, because I'm playing on my channel, you're going to see me talk about and play Dragon Ball Super card game, Digimon, Flesh and Blood, and Magic the Gathering. So compared to those games, it definitely feels like it has its roots in Magic the Gathering using Dawn instead of mana. But I really like how they use the Dawn separately as a different deck. And right now, the Dawn is obviously generic. It doesn't do anything. And by the way, here's some style points for you guys. If you don't want to spend or collect the expensive, limited manga Dawn, I just grabbed the regular red Dawn, the film red promos, which are just the regular Dawns from, Romance Dawn. Dawn. And then I just flip them over. They look fantastic like this. So basically, right now, these don't do anything special, but one of my predictions is that in the future, obviously, Bandai has to make Dawn cards that come out from, let's say, maybe the deck that can be put in your Dawn, or maybe there'll be some Dawn cards specific to a leader that can be added to your Dawn deck, and we might start to see abilities on the Dawn cards, much like how with Magic we start to see different abilities with land that can become creatures, with land that can maybe search out other items or artifacts, spells, and things like that. So and give bonuses to your creatures and other things. So and there's different types, right? There's creature lands, there's artifact lands. So I wouldn't be surprised as the One Piece card game becomes maybe more complex and evolves, they're going to be seeing some Dawn cards have special effects. So that's the main thing that I liked about this system, is how the Dawn system works for resources. And you never basically get, mana screwed, or you never get too much mana, as can be the case with games like Magic the Gathering. So, that being said, that's the big plus. However, what I will say is compared to games like Magic, compared to games like Dragon Ball Super, and right now even compared to Digimon, this game is easy. It's very easy, a lot less complex. I really miss the feel of Dragon Ball Super card game. I'll talk about this more in my video there, but Dragon Ball Super card game really feels thematic. I feel like I'm playing with these awesome, powerful Dragon Ball leaders with great, unique effects and mechanics and abilities. There's a lot of back and forth. The battle is very tense. You have more life. You have more steps for, countering, counterplay, counterattacks. And then, of course, the combo power stuff that you play from your hand. I mean, it's just really exciting. A lot more decisions to make, a lot more complexity, of course, which, can be its own pro and con. But yeah, that's my, impression. I don't think anyone would really disagree. If you play Dragon Ball and One Piece, you'll see just how much more simpler of a game this is. But again, that's its strength, right? It's easy to pick up and play, easy for people to learn. So that's, that's its pro and con for being a much, much simpler game. The other thing is, with the trigger system in the life, this was what I was kind of worried about when the game got announced, because I also play Digimon. It adds a little bit more of an element of luck into the game, where it's like, yeah, hit this trigger, and then that can give you a big boost, turn around the game. But, again, it's something that's fun for someone who does both competitive and casual, right? Is that you get that like that fun surprise factor. Now again, what we see with like the Big Mom deck coming out, yellow, and I'm sure other cards in you know, heroes and our leaders and colors might do a little bit, but yellow specifically looks like it's going to manipulate the life, which means you can control your triggers a little bit more than you can with other colors, which again is a strength and maybe too much of an advantage. We'll see how that works out in the future. Now, you know, that being said, Dragon Ball Super does have some cards, like for example, the Blue Trunks deck and leaders that can manipulate their life, also the Yellow Turles deck. But again, they do it in a way where it's not like broken, where you're triggering effects that are like, you know, plus 10,000, you know, 5,000 power, adding extra stuff that's like, you know, just builds up to the point where you overwhelm and win. But it, again, it adds to the theme, adds to the flavor and the mechanics so far in a way that's been fairly balanced, right? I don't think we're seeing, you know, we've seen any decks, you know, the past 2 years I've been playing, there's been no decks in the meta that have like just become unbeatable or overwhelmingly powerful by just triggering a bunch of cards from their life and manipulating it too much. But in Digimon, which I'll also talk about in Digimon, you know, we see what's called security control or yellow decks that, you know, tend to gain back security and, you know, hence life points by being able to add cards from their deck to their life. Again, in Dragon Ball, they have Rejuvenate, but so far, you know, kind of an underused, underappreciated, maybe underwhelming ability, but something that I really like. So for One Piece, we'll see how that works out. Again, trigger is a little bit too much luck-based for my taste. Still fun, though. It's kind of like rolling a critical hit in D&D for those who play role-playing games, to kind of roll a 20 and be like, yeah! Or in this case, you're like, boom, trigger, you know, and it's an effect that actually really helps you out on your turn. So that's, again, another pro and con of this game. Lastly, I just want to kind of touch on the fact that as much as I like the artwork, you know, I prefer the anime kind of, even though I know this is a screenshot and that can be kind of cheap looking, I prefer anime and, you know, original anime art and manga art, you know, Oda's art. I like how in Dragon Ball Super, I'm sure they're getting artists to, you know, imitate and replicate Akira Toriyama style. But in this game, I don't really find myself liking or preferring the art from the third-party artists. Like, don't get me wrong, they look cool and everything, but to me, it doesn't really scream One Piece, right? So here's an example. Like, this card is great, you know, artwork-wise, looks fine. But, you know, I'm not going to be screaming over trying to collect this. And, you know, hopefully I would, you know, prefer if there was a version that was, again, more like, you know, anime style or like manga style. I would, you know, I'd much rather have that. So that's a little interesting. I know there'll be collectors out there and people who like that kind of third party. It's more like a comic book style of art from other artists. But for me, it doesn't really fit. I like how in Dragon Ball Super card game, it looks super cohesive. I don't mind too much in Digimon because I don't really collect Digimon for the artwork. I do like it also when they have more of the retro style cards, but for some reason, for me, Digimon, you know, I've started to watch a little bit of the original anime. It's kind of cool to see the Digimon in third-party art, mainly because they're all, I guess, you know, mostly creatures, you know, obviously Digimon, and then like mecha and like warriors and stuff like that, dragons and whatnot. So in that case, it doesn't really take away too much from the style, right? Like when you see the tamers and everything, they're all usually just done in the more traditional anime style. So that's why I feel like it's a little bit more of a connected art style. But again, you know, I still appreciate the fact that, you know, Bandai is doing something a little different here. But, you know, as someone who also has bought like color walk books from Oda, I really appreciate the color style here because, again, you can't really, you know, read the manga in color. You can only buy the color walk art books. So it'd be awesome to get original, you know, colorful manga art like this. That'd be fantastic. So, yeah, there you guys go. And, you know, kind of touching on that theme again. Oh, yeah, sorry, one last thing. The theme and the mechanics of the game are so simple that it doesn't, to me, always feel like I'm actually playing the leaders, right? I don't really get the same feel that I do when I play, again, a game like Dragon Ball. So, like, you know, when you have Law, you have Luffy here. Like, it's cool. Like, yeah, you know, I'm playing the Luffy leader, but, like, spend 4 Dawn and, like, unrest a character. Wow, like, it just feels like a regular card. It doesn't really feel like it's emulating the theme of Luffy in some way, like some style of fighting or some episode. Because you know, in Dragon Ball Super, it's like they have all these versions of characters like Goku, Vegeta, and they're all tied to like a specific arc, a specific time when they learned a power or leveled up or whatnot. And then it really feels like the Dragon Ball character that you're playing has a theme that affects your entire deck and your gameplay style, and that is phenomenal. So One Piece just can't do that, right? I mean, the way they're making the leaders now, they just feel like they have a mechanic, and it's just kind of like, look at the picture, cool, I got Luffy, I'm playing Luffy, and I can do this one ability, right? Which at the same time, these abilities are hard to activate every turn, right? They only come up maybe a few times in the game because they usually require you to spend resources like you would to play a card. You know, in Kaido's case, you have to return Dawn back to your deck, and once you do that, like for his ability, it costs 7, right? So when you use his ability, sorry, 1 second. Let me see, where did I put my Kaido leader? He got mixed in my deck, I'm sure of it. But when you, you know, for example, when you use the Kaido ability from the leader, then it's like you can't quite do it again the next turn or anytime soon. So, oh, why did I put it in here? Well, bam, right? So like, you know, doing the -7, it's like you only get 2 Dawn a turn. Yes, he does accelerate, but you're not going to be doing that like every turn, right? Maybe once or twice a game at most. So yeah, that's kind of cool. It's like, wow, Kaido power, bam, just hit him for 1 life. But again, it doesn't really affect the style of the deck in any way, and it doesn't really, you know, allow me to use it multiple times, which, I mean, that's fine, right? That could be like an attack that he does, you know, occasionally, like he needs to store up his energy, his Dawn, whatever. So I get it. But again, that's just my little like nitpick and critique there. Again, the game is overall simple and fun to play. It's really all about blocking right now. Like this game is all about having blockers, because right now there is no like counter step to like negate an attack or, you know, do some kind of like fast effect or play an instant. It's basically just like I can use the cards in my hand to add combo power, similar to Dragon Ball, but you can't use your Dawn unless you're attacking. And again, there's really no cards right now that just straight up negate the attack. You have to have blockers out already in play. So that's my take right now. Those are the details. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. What do you agree with? What you don't agree with? What you want to see? I guess I'll do another video later on that talks about more of my predictions, like I was mentioning here with the Dawn. But again, since One Piece is an anime and a manga that I've been, you know, with for over 2 decades now. Wow. You know, I definitely wanted to give the game a try. And of course, I like Bandai card games. I'm only going to stick with Dragon Ball Super and Digimon. But I think this is a nice addition to have, kind of in between, you know, like a little bit easier than Dragon Ball, and definitely fun for people who like One Piece. So again, if you like One Piece, you know, if you're caught up with the manga and the anime, then you got to play this game for sure. If you just like TCGs, this would be a great starter game. If you're used to something like Magic, I would actually recommend you go straight to Dragon Ball Super. If you want something more complex and more strategic, like Magic the Gathering, then just go straight to Dragon Ball Super. And of course, you know, if you like things like Pokemon and like creatures and you want something that's also kind of easy, I would say Digimon, right? But there you guys go. I'll be definitely keeping up with One Piece. I'll let you know what my decks are. You guys have a little sneak peek here. I'm playing Luffy and Law, and then I'm playing Kaido, and I'm also playing King. I think is an underrated leader for sure. So there you guys go. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. Don't forget to keep your face safe, pray, spread that love, be positive, be thankful, guys. We'll keep slaying the meta. Peace.